Hope everyone's having a great night. Hope everyone's having a great night, as they say in English out there. Seth Harp on Sports, the bar with you. What do we have in store for you on this edition of Harp on Sports, the bar? Well, I don't know when our last one's going to be in this location, but we're getting there very, very soon. I signed my contract today with my new place, or where I'm going to be moving. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Put everything together. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the discussion and where you'll be able to hear me on the radio again soon. Not quite ready to make that announcement yet. That announcement's going to come Friday. That announcement will come Friday. And again, looking forward to this next chapter as we leave Jacksonville. I'm going to reflect on my time here in Jacksonville, give you my thoughts as we look back on everything. Okay, a little summer showcase for you tonight. A little summer showcase for you today, I should say. Boselli Media Blunders, reflections on my time here in Jacksonville, and some football movie coaches for you. Okay. You know, every time we pop on and do one of these, we are in a different world than where we were 24, 48, 72 hours before. And we are to the point now where we know we're not going to have any sports for at least a month. When these things start to shake out, you hear, okay, well, we're going to suspend things for a while. The NBA is going to be suspended. You always go lowest case scenario, right? Like when somebody breaks their arm and you hear 4 to 6 weeks, you think 4 weeks. When somebody gets hurt, you're like, it's going to take 7 to 10 days to get there. You never think, well, it's going to take 10. You always think it's going to take 7. You always go for the lowest mark. And, you know, when we're hearing mid-April, okay, things can get back on track by then. I've told you from the beginning, June 1st is the target date. June 1st should be the target date to get everything back on track. The country's going to be shut down until May, and then after that, going to take a while to get things going again. Just think about like stadium construction in Vegas, stadium construction in L.A., how far we're going to be behind the 8 ball. Now, I know Kirk Herbstreit said that we may not have football this year, college football or the NFL. That would surprise me a little bit. It would surprise me a little bit if that happened. I do think we're going to see football in some capacity. I just don't know what yet. I just don't know what that capacity is going to be. So, through all that, I laid this out my last show, and I'm going to reiterate it to you once again. So many different scenarios laying themselves out. We'll never refer to the dog days of summer again, right? The dog days of summer. Oh, my gosh, there's nothing going on. June, if sports do ramp up again and we get the NBA playoffs, we get baseball starting, you get the Stanley Cup finals, you know, you're going to get all sorts of, you're going to get 4 golf tournaments in the span of 7-8 weeks. You're going to, or 4 majors, I should say, in the span of 7-8 weeks. It could be phenomenal. It really could be. It could really be phenomenal. And I don't know how that will hold going forward because, let's face it, we're creatures of habit and we move on to the next thing in a hurry. We move on to the next thing in a hurry. But this summer is going to be a sports showcase. It's going to be overwhelming. We're going to get so much so fast. And then after that, then you're going to have a little bit of football season starts. If it does start. Now, I'm going with the mindset that June 1st, we're going to be able to fire off again. And when we get to June 1st, here we go. Boom. That's the way I'm thinking right now. So that summer showcase sitting right there, I saw that we should start this season with the All-Star game in Los Angeles in baseball. I don't know if we need to go quite there in terms of, I mean, you're talking July at that point. I don't think an 81-game season, maybe that's where you end up when it's all said and done. That's very possible. That's very feasible. That could happen. So, again, just watching all this unfold and trying to let this soak in here a little bit, that this summer is, again, I'm playing the if game. If we get back on track, has the opportunity to be one of the greatest summers in sports ever. Just does. Just because of the proximity and everything you're going to get. It is. It's going to be on top, one on top of the other. So you're trying to find silver linings, right? It does. And today was the first day that I tried to get, I've been watching the news, sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours a day. I just have been. I want to encompass myself with everything and so I'm informed. I'm not one of these morons out here spewing things like the flu kills more. Or I don't know why more people die of cancer than this, and you don't want to be those guys. Or gals. So I've tried to give myself the opportunity to take a step back here a little bit today and get some things done, and I've been able to get those things done, and it's been pretty cool, and been able to think of a couple of cool things to do here on the show. But that's what I'm trying to be a little bit optimistic when it comes to this. So Summer Showcase, you're gonna have maybe the best summer of sports ever if we get to that point. So enjoy it. This Tony Boselli coronavirus thing, I feel bad that this became public without Tony and his family being able to make the announcement that it was public. But something I noticed in the last 48 hours is the reaction. And Mike Freeman is a solid reporter. He is. He's a good reporter. He broke the story. No one here was going to break it. People knew it. I knew it. I knew Tony had contracted this about 48 hours before. I chose not to run it. I did. I chose not to run it. I'm not covering the Jaguars anymore. Not on the daily cycle. Not. Plus, I never got a second source. I never got a second source. I got a source inside the building that told me, but I never got a second source. Never could get a second source, so I didn't go with it. So, when it did break, and regardless of who had it first, that's irrelevant here. When it did break, you saw something that is true. And again, I feel bad for Tony and that the family, Angie and the family didn't get to announce it. Tony is on the verge of being a Hall of Famer. Should be a Hall of Famer. He's a public figure. When a public figure gets something like this, it's going to get out. And the sports media here and the media in general acted like a cult. Because it is a cult. Tony doesn't have the same amount of privacy that Joe the mechanic would have. He just doesn't. And if it's going to be news, somebody's going to break it. Is it dirty? Yeah, probably. Probably a little. It is. And the whole, well, we've got HIPAA laws and we've got all, yeah, well, guess what? Somebody in the hospital had to tell people. Somebody had to tell somebody. People knew. People just didn't break it. So there is no way, all three TV stations, there is no way. Everybody knew here in Jacksonville, media-wise, that Tony had the coronavirus. Just nobody here broke it. Why? Because our media here is a cult. It is. People steal from other members of the media. People in the media give other media members stories. And I'm not saying that doesn't go on in other cities, but it goes on here in steroids. It does. It goes on here in steroids. I had so many problems. In my 4.5, 5 years here, not relationship-wise, I get along with a lot of guys. There are a couple guys I didn't get along with. That's fine. I get along with everybody. For the most part. I had newspaper writers when I would be doing interviews sit behind me and transcribe notes from my interviews, use those quotes that I got because I asked the right questions on one-on-one interviews. Veteran reporters sit there and steal my quotes and use them in their story. If I go and do the interview on a Saturday, this happened with Austin Safarian Jenkins. I did an interview with him, and that audio, a quote that he gave me ended up running in a publication that somebody camped out next to me as I did the interview, ran it before I had a chance to play that interview on my show on Monday. True story. That happened. I did a segment right before Christmas this year where I was talking with Chris Conley. And he's a big Star Wars buff, so I asked him who each person would be in the locker room, who this guy would be, who this guy would be. I had a News 4 cameraman right behind me when I did it, took it, pretended it was his, ran it. Edited me out. And I got this afterwards. Well, Seth, everybody takes from everybody. No, I didn't steal one thing. I never borrowed one thing from anyone, ever. Ever. You do your own stuff, I'll do my own stuff. That's how it works. Now, guys in the beat are different. They are. Guys in the beat are different. Respect those guys a lot. From Mark Long to Mike DiRocco to Gene Purnett. Respect those guys a lot. I do. Ryan O'Halloran when he was here. Hayes Carline. Respect those guys a lot. Phil Heilman. It's a tough job. Dan Popper over the years. Mike Kay. It's a tough job. It is. You guys are good guys. They really, really are. TV guys, some of the other writers. Gene Purnett does a great job. I think Gene gets an unfair rap. Gene does a very good job. Very good job. Never had an issue with any of those guys. It was the TV guys and some of the other writers that would sit there and just flat out steal stuff. Stuff that I did. So my reflections on my time in Jacksonville, media-wise here, not a lot of stuff's broken. As in, not like broken arm, but we don't break a lot of stories. I want you to pay attention to that. In my time here, and again, I was here 5 years. I wasn't here 20, 30 years. Think about how much new blood you have in the media market here. Not very much. It's the same old dinosaurs. Some of them have reinvented and done fresh things. Some of it's just stale and lame, just surviving. Just surviving. Just been around forever. Nothing fresh, nothing new. Some guys are good. I made sure everybody that we put on the station when I was the program director with iHeartRadio was good. People that I trusted, people that I liked. There were quite a few people that wanted jobs that there was no way on earth because I caught them stealing stuff from other people. That's not your material. That's that person's material. You're just taking it and using it and not giving them credit. So this is one of these things. I mean, you had... And I understand why some guys on the beat sit on it. I do. I understand why some guys maybe on the beat had it and didn't run with it. And that's fine. That's your choice. I've had things that I've sat on that I've said, hey, man, look, hey, I've got this story. Oh, Seth, we'd appreciate if you, okay. Players' agents. There were players that were flying. There's all sorts of things that were going on. You call their agent, hey, man, so-and-so saw so-and-so at the airport. What's going on? Oh, we're not going to comment on that. Okay. Things like that occur. And you got to figure, is it worth running it or not? So I don't mind. Everybody, you need certain members of the PR staff with the Jaguars to like you to get access to players. You do. And you don't do that by burning bridges. It's not a burning bridge story. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why. A lot of stories don't get broken locally. One, a lot of the information's leaked from the front office to Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter rather than local people. That's true. That's true. Second, it's a cult. Everybody wants to be liked. Everybody wants to be a friend. I enjoyed the people that I worked with here, the members of the sports media. I did. I enjoyed the ones that I worked with. Ones I didn't work with, I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know. But I did have people, including people who are supposed to be our media partners, flat out steal stuff from me. You know? So, hey, look. That's your choice. Right? As Curly said in City Slickers to Billy Crystal, I could never make that choice, Curly. I could never do that. It's your choice. You want to do it? Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. So, my reflections on my time in Jacksonville. Boselli Media. Oh, how dare he? How sanctimonious do you have to be because a reporter reported that the Jaguars soon-to-be Hall of Famer tested positive or was in the hospital for the coronavirus, and how shame on you. You talk about grandstanding at its finest. At its finest. Those same people, by the way, that were grandstanding on social media the last few days about you shouldn't be running that story about Boselli having the coronavirus. Shouldn't be running that. I hate that it got out. I'm sure Tony and Angie wanted to let that information be known. You weren't going to keep it secret forever, which is amazing here in Jacksonville because everybody's got diarrhea of the mouth. I did wonder through all of it how people were going to react here locally. And when it came out, it was to attack the reporter. Attack the reporter. And as you heard me just a while ago, the only thing that really that upsets me about reporters is not opinions and hard stances, is when they steal stuff. When they steal material. When they take somebody else's work on the air or in print or that they've done and pretend that it's theirs. Yeah. Come up with your own stuff, buckaroos. Mike Freeman, Broke the story? Fine. It's not an evil human being or awful. And you know what's funny about this? One quick more anecdote on this. The same people that are sitting there criticizing Mike Freeman about breaking the story on Boselli and how it's awful that he did that and how it's awful were the same people up there in the press box digging and clamoring and clawing and trying to call people, sitting there trying to get an opinion when Nick Foles hurt his shoulder. Remember Nick Foles dislocated, broke his collarbone? Touchdown pass to DJ Chark early in the year. Remember that? Pop. Same members. Oh, how dare this medical information. This should know medical information. No, shouldn't be. Reporters shouldn't be releasing this stuff. Same people up there going, looks like he landed on his collarbone, looks to be broken. Oh, really? I have no problem with that. No problem with that, baby. No problem with that at all. Get that medical information out there. Don't be a hypocrite. And I hope that's the one thing I conveyed in my 4.5 years when I was on the air here, is that I was never a hypocrite. I wasn't. Maybe rough around the edges at times. Maybe made some people uncomfortable. But as Clark Kent, Superman, told Lois Lane, I never lie, Lois. Why? Why do it? Okay, so I'm okay with Mike Freeman. It's a cult. Your media is a cult. Here. And everybody scratches each other's back, and that's fine. It's fine. Yeah. It reminds me like the old guard in Congress. You know, people have been the swamp, the old guard, that kind of, yeah, that's what it is. The Bilderberg group. It's Bilderberg group, yeah. My Darth Vader mug, yeah. All right. So we got that. Also, I thought I'd just have a little fun. Just a little fun here. Again, had the chance to be the greatest summer of sports ever. Summer showcase. Trying to pump some optimism out there. I'm not giving you an Easter deadline. But you have a chance that you could have baseball, the Stanley Cup, all the stuff starting all at once. NBA finals, all 4 majors in golf in the span of 7 or 8 weeks. It's going to be the greatest sports summer ever. How awesome is that? Boselli media blunder, my reflection on Jacksonville. And last, I want to do this fictional coaches wise, and I want to put a time frame on it. 1980 to 2000, I came up with 8 football coaches. You have to win 1 football game. 1 football game. 1. Who are you going with? And I put this up on Twitter, and I put it up on Instagram. You have to win 1 football game. Who are you going with? We have the coach, John Goodman, from Revenge of the Nerds. The Adams is Adams. Rick Moranis, was that Danny O'Shea? Little Giants. Jimmy Kahn from The Program. Henry Winkler, who let his playbook be stolen and got bullied around a little bit, right? The Water Boy. John Voight. Varsity Blues. Let's see here. Gene Hackman in The Replacements. Hayden Fox, coach. And Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday. So what I tried to do with this is I took 8 coaches from 1980 to the year 2000. I wanted to keep some frame on it, and I can do 2001 through 2020 because there's so many football coaches out there. And these are all fictional, by the way. I only wanted fictional coaches. You had to pick 1 fictional football coach to win you 1 game. Would you pick John Goodman from Revenge of the Nerds, Rick Moranis from Little Giants, Jimmy Kahn from The Program, Henry Winkler from The Water Boy, John Voight from Varsity Blues, Gene Hackman from The Replacements, Hayden Fox from Coach, and Al Pacino from Any Given Sunday? That's a tough look. That is a tough look. Well, I mean, depending on the level, you couldn't have the John Voight type of character or John Adams around kids. You just couldn't. Or John Goodman, excuse me. John Adams, yeah. You couldn't, I mean, come on. He encouraged looting and burning down the nerd's house. You couldn't have that. And John Voight, encouraged steroids and, numbing agents as players would get hurt. So you couldn't have that either around there. Jimmy Kahn kind of turned a deaf ear, looked the other way when it came to steroid abuse in his program. You want to run a clean program, a successful program. You look at, of all these guys, Al Pacino's coaching style would have worked the best with, Jamie Foxx, Willie Beeman. putting things together and having the success. And this was inspired by the Sports Illustrated article that I saw, or the Sports Illustrated story, where you had to pick one football player. Who'd you pick with the number one pick in the draft? And they had like, The Rock up there from the Tooth Fairy. Is that the movie that he was in? Come on, Seth. Who else is up there? Bobby Boucher was up there. The Icebox from Little Giants. And then there's Jamie Foxx. It's like from, Any Given Sunday. It's like, it's Jamie Foxx, a mobile quarterback that can throw. You're going to start your franchise with a quarterback. Come on. Not even a debate. This one here, I liked Hayden Fox. I like what he did. Oh, my gosh. The ability to take a program like Minnesota State and win a national championship. The Screaming Eagles. By the way, I found a Minnesota State Screaming Eagle football jersey and one of those old starter jackets on eBay. They had a helmet, too. Just not in the market to be buying anything like that right now as I get ready to move. But I thought that was awesome. Of all these, if you can pick any coach. Again, Al Pacino, Any Given Sunday. Hayden Fox, coach. TV show coach. Is it Jimmy McGlinty, I believe, is who Gene Hackman played. And the replacements, John Voight. Varsity Blues, John Goodman, Revenge of the Nerds, Rick Moranis, Little Giants, Jimmy Kahn, The Program, and Henry Winkler. Again, this is just fictional coaches, 1980 to the year 2000. And professionally, without a doubt, I guess Hayden Fox did both. So it's between Al Pacino and it's between Hayden Fox. And if you're doing it today, you'd pick Al Pacino. Just the way the offenses have changed in the NFL and how he saw what. Let's face it. Yeah, it is. It's exactly what it is. Al Pacino on Any Given Sunday is what John Harbaugh did in Baltimore. Dennis Quaid was Joe Flacco, moving on from your stationary, tall, pocket quarterback to a mobile quarterback that can move and throw the ball, Willie Beeman. So there you go. Just a little fun with you here. 8 coaches. Pick one of them. You can see it on Twitter at Harp on Sports and at Instagram at Harp on Sports as well at Instagram. So there you go. Like, follow, share, follow, like, subscribe the YouTube channel, the Harp on Sports YouTube channel. Trying to get the subscriptions up there. Just when you get onto YouTube, subscribe to Harp on Sports. We're going to fire off another podcast Thursday night. Going to do one Thursday night. I start my new job on Monday. Still going to try to do 2 a week. It's going to be tough though, gang. Here, at least initially, as I'm bouncing around here a bit. But looking forward to this. Again, thank everybody for the last few months. It's been a long few months. It is. We'll have another podcast. And we'll be making the announcement on Friday. So I don't want to get too... I'm not going to get sentimental when it comes to this stuff because I've had time to reflect the last 90 days or so on everything that's gone on and everything that's shaking itself out. But I can't thank everybody enough that all the well wishes and consumption of everything and ready to roll, ready to chapter 4, chapter 5, getting ready to write that next chapter here when it comes to the show. At Harp on Sports Facebook, Harp on Sports page, Harp on Sports Twitter, Harp on Sports Instagram, the Harp on Sports podcast. You can listen to it on iTunes, or iTunes gone, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, okay, Buzzsprout. You can pick it up on all of those locations. Let's see here. What am I leaving out? Harp on Sports YouTube channel. Like, follow, share, follow, like, all of that stuff. All that stuff. So you get the fancy cool mics now too, huh? So there you go. Stay safe. I say that every time. Be smart. Be smart. It's like, stay safe. It's not a war zone out there. Kind of a little bit is. In terms of what this thing is and how deadly it is and how bad it is. And when, you're sitting there and you're watching 600, 900, 1,500, you see the death toll start to climb. And, we basically have shut everything down. And people, it's still doubling every day. Just nasty stuff. It's deadly. So, just be smart. Be smart. Someone is going to get it. They are. Someone is going to get it. Make sure you're not the person that gives it to them. If I can give you any advice here as we reach that point where we look around and go, it's going to be a long April. It's going to be a long, long April. Somebody that is going to get this. If I were the one that gave it to somebody, the burden of that would be almost unbearable. So don't be the person. You don't want to be the person that gets it, but don't be the person that gives it to somebody. Okay, be smart. Hope you enjoyed. I know, what a great note to end on. At Harp on Sports Instagram, at Harp on Sports Twitter, Harp on Sports Facebook page. Like, follow, share, follow, like, subscribe to the Harp on Sports YouTube channel. Harp on Sports podcast going to be up here in about a half hour. Spotify, Apple Podcast. Enjoy your last few hours of March. Look forward to chatting with you again here later this week. You've been listening and watching Harp on Sports, the bar on the Harp on Sports Audio and Media Network.